Hey guys, welcome to Moment Z, the show that's here to represent the millennial generation. In the studio with me today, I've got my girls, Amanda and Palumi.
Hi.
Hey girls.
Hey. I didn't know your name was Palumi.
Look at me. However way she calls it, everybody already knows the name is Palumi.
I love the way she talks.
I know, right? In a report written by the International Center for Investigative Research, ICIR news agency, their investigation revealed that the elite schools in Abuja, that's the capital city of Nigeria, are either using the American or the British curriculum, with a few of them combining the Nigerian curriculum with the foreign ones. With the modern world taking a huge stride in technological advancement, while the educational system in Nigeria remains archaic, it's becoming very necessary for us to catch up with modernization. This, of course, leads us to the topic of the day: educational system and the modern world. Girls, are you ready for this topic? I'm definitely ready for the topic.
So what do you think? Do you actually agree with that, or?
Yes, I do. I believe that the educational system in Nigeria is quite archaic. And I feel like we're still like in the 1960s. I feel like what's the relevance of further maths, chemistry, biology,
geography.
Geography, like I don't
right?
even get it. Like, so what do we need all these things for?
Well, we're going to find out if we truly need all these things when we come back from the break. Of course, we'll be joined by our guests, so stick around, guys.
Welcome back. Today on the show we have Michael Omodict. He's the creative director at Omodict Designs, which is an art and fashion brand. He's also the one responsible for our lovely Moment Z design.
Oh.
Thank you so much for that. We
you're
love
welcome,
it.
you're welcome, you're welcome.
It's absolutely amazing.
Thanks a lot, thanks a
Is that
lot.
what you do as like
Yeah,
bread
I
and
do.
butter?
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump into the topic of the day.
Okay.
Give us like a little background of your educational history.
Okay. For university, I went to Covenant University, my undergrad. I studied economics. Then high school, Top Faith International Secondary School. That's in Akwa Ibom, by the way.
And what was the infrastructure like?
It was good. I mean, sports facilities, health, everything was like some point. Yeah, they actually tried.
So
it was a private one.
Learning was easy for you?
Learning is never easy. And being in high school, then you know, like you want to play. Like I remember I was playing football, I was doing basketball, I was in some dance stuff. So learning, but I mean, I was having a good time learning too. So but then like.
Well,
Okay, so what do you now feel is wrong with the educational system in Nigeria? I mean, obviously you're part of like the elite, but I mean like federal universities, government schools, public schools. What exactly do you feel like is wrong with the educational system in Nigeria?
Yeah, first of all, I have to say, not everything is right with the private ones, man. Trust me, not everything's right. But you know, on general basis, I feel like IT1, we're lagging behind.
That's
like it's so obvious.
so true,
Nigeria as a country, like you know, like we can count so many countries that were probably less developed before. But now they've sort of advanced, like speaking of Brazil and some other countries that were on the same level, but right, they have, you know, moved forward, and I feel like we're backward IT-wise, and
Okay. Personally, I feel like, coming from my own experience of going to a Nigerian secondary school and university, I feel like we're very, as you said, backwards, but not just in curriculum, in everything, in technology, in the way the teachers train you and all of that. For like a year, I was actually a teacher. And
Really? Wow.
Yes, I was. I was doing my IT, and I taught at Little Saints Montessori School, which was a primary school, and they gave me computers. Now, I studied computers. I was like, oh, piece of cake. Is it not just to tell them what is a computer, this is a mouse? And then this particular school wasn't using the Nigerian curriculum. They were using the British. And trust me, I had to teach grade 6 how to design a website.
Wow.
I'm like, what?
Wow.
What? If you're learning this at grade 6, I learned this at 300 level. Then it shows you that there's a problem with the system. You're like going back computers of 100 years ago.
Yeah, that's true, because even for me in architecture, I mean, everybody that leaves the school that has to go and study masters, they kind of have to do like 1 year of reorienting themselves to the system before they actually allow them now start taking the masters, because they almost just feel like you're not up to where we are. Do you get? And I don't honestly blame them, because I mean, if you're looking at the teachers, you have the same teachers teaching undergrad as the same teachers teaching postgrad, and that is not all, because even they are not even up to date with what every other person in every other country is using. So you see some teachers in other schools, they're still using the usual drafting, which is using a pen and paper to draft a house, to draft a skyscraper. Do you understand? When people are already like building designs with the system.
There's even
using
an app, a particular app you guys use.
Yeah, computer-aided designs, and then it's always improving by the day. But even at that, some of us are still even stuck using using the old ones. So I just feel like the lecturers, the environment in general, I mean, take the picture of a Nigerian school and take the picture of an American school or a British school. I don't feel they tally. I mean, my own class, though, we used to have, like, it was horrible.
My issue is I don't even necessarily want them to tally. But if you were to describe, like, an American school system, I don't know, like, how is that?
Yeah,
like?
well, I was in the British curriculum.
Oh, British, okay.
And when I was in Nigeria, I went to Nigerian schools that mix the Nigerian curriculum with the British curriculum. Actually, my secondary school was fully British curriculum. But what I found was, even my primary school, and what I found was those of us who went, like I had some friends that went to primary school with me, secondary school with me, even when we got to university in England, we were struggling. Wow. That's how bad it is. I remember there was a supply chain management module that we had to take, and we had to use some software that most people had used, and I was just in the class like, what? Like, what is this? And I just and that made me realize, and my mom even says it all the time, and I think that's why she did something completely different with my siblings, that even though I went to private schools that had the British curriculum in Nigeria, they still were not good enough to compete internationally. And it's just, so now I can only imagine what the Nigerian curriculum is like, and I'm just in shock.
So who do you think is to blame for this?
I feel like a lot of people are to blame. Like, it's an aggregate. First of all, from top, the management, the government, the management themselves, teachers, lecturers, the students themselves. I mean, like, Nigerian students.
How? I feel like we're being fed.
Yeah,
we're eating what we're being fed.
Some students, the average Nigerian student is reluctant, you know, like, I'm not blaming anyone, but like, that's what the system provides. So, like, you're just like, why do I have to queue to register? Like, most of those things,
they make it unnecessarily hard, because I had a really close friend that goes to Babcock, and every time he's complaining about how he comes back, he even got high blood pressure, and the guy is 21. I'm not joking.
Wow.
He was in hospital a few months ago. Like, that's how bad it is. Like, why does it have to be that way?
The average Nigerian student is not lazy. We're just self-taught, and a lot of people that seemingly lazy is because of the environment that they are in, and their inability to push beyond that environment. But you know what, guys? This conversation is about to get even deeper. I mean, we have our next guest joining us, so stick around, guys.
Welcome back. Our topic on the show today is the educational system and the modern world. Right now, Abayomi Akonji is joining us in the studio. He's a first-class graduate or a computer science student from Ladoke Akintola University. At 19, he co-founded the Pastors NG platform that helps students learn, practice, and get set for examinations after discovering that there was a 70% failure rate for students sitting the National University entrance exams. To date, it has helped over 300,000 students pass the exams first time round. 300,000 students, I think that is an achievement.
Wow.
So impressive.
How did you do that?
Well, it looks big, but I mean, to look at the all addressable audience is still like very minute. So JAMB, for instance, over 1.7 million students write the exam manually. So 300,000, where it's an encouragement to us.
And that's in 4 years, right?
Exactly. Wow. So it's an encouragement for us anyway, but we know that there's still a longer route to go.
Okay, but
how old are you? Sorry.
So I clocked 24 last month.
Oh, wow.
He won the Future Awards.
And you started off at 19. That is quite impressive. But did you hear what he said about 70% failure rate?
And I think it's still the system. You can't tell me it's a lazy. You can't tell me it's lazy students.
It's
mean,
lazy
look at this.
Students.
Okay, what happened?
If it wasn't
in
lazy
Kaduna?
students, then how is he helping?
Yeah, but what happened in Kaduna? You know how the teachers were actually. How many teachers?
20,000. They failed the grade 4 exams.
Yeah, primary 4 exams, and those are the teachers teaching us. And you're telling me we're lazy? Come on, the system is just.
But for someone who's been in it for a while, could you try and explain to us what exactly you found to be the problem?
Okay, well, I think most time we discuss about how to go about it and what to do specifically. But recently I was thinking about, instead of thinking about the what and the how, why not we think about why? Why should we be educated? Yeah. So it seems to me that the government sees education as a threat to them.
How would you say that?
Probably like people are educated, they could know their right, they will know their right, they will know what belongs to them.
Well, that's so true.
But I felt that if people are educated, they'll be enlightened, they'll be able to take responsibility for their life. The reason why we have so much, demand on the government is the fact that people are not enlightened. We don't have the basic necessary skills to empower ourselves. So if I could say, like me, start up something, say on entrepreneurship, I get like 10 people to work with me, 100 people to work with me, there will be a reduction in unemployment.
That is true.
But because I wasn't enlightened, people are not enlightened, there's so much demand on the government. We want education, we want employment. So several things on the government. I think the government should stop seeing education as a threat to them, but they should see it as a way to enlighten people, because when people are enlightened, they will be empowered to take responsibility for their lives.
What are the first steps you think the government should take?
Okay, well, in that case, I believe that understanding precedes growth. Understanding precedes creation. So the way we are taught in school, I don't think it's proper. So I was looking at, the pyramid of learning. There's the passive method of learning and there's the participatory method of learning. So in Nigeria, we are still using the passive method. In fact, we're using the two lists. So we have learning through lecture and learning through reading. Those are the basic stuff we use. I said a few schools still use the audiovisual and demonstration. And the retentive rate of learning through lecture is just 5%. When you learn through reading, it's just 10%, though there was a school of thought that went against that probably certain things could still alter that percentage anyway. But looking at it, 5% retention rate, 10% retention rate, that is very poor. Yeah. Exactly. Really. So on the participatory, method of learning, we have the likes of a discussion group, something like that, learning through practice and learning through teaching, exactly. Like discussion is like 50% retention rate, and like teaching.
What about like technology? Like technology?
Yeah.
Exactly.
How did that play a role?
So looking at one of the best ways to actually learn is to organize education as a social system. As a social system, you get to contribute your knowledge, you get to contribute yours. There will be critical. There will be critical reasoning. There will be creative. Criticism, exactly. So at the end of the day, the sum total of our knowledge becomes individual knowledge. So you contribute to yours, you raise an opinion, you raise an objection. Before we know it, we get to understand better.
Kind of like Moment Z.
Exactly.
Michael, for you, do you agree with everything he's saying?
Oh, yeah. Nigeria, we all know Nigerian educational system is quite rigid. I feel like they should, get a bit flexible on the teaching methods, Teachers are seen to be this, like teachers coming. It's not meant to be like that, like we're just meant to have that, sort of understanding and relationship with teacher. Like you could just go to your teacher, like after lectures, like have that relationship. I think that's really lacking in the system.
Yeah, since you're talking about teachers right now, do you feel like there should be a reorientation about how the teachers are being trained to actually teach us? So for example, maybe in College of Education, they should be taught, I don't know, what do you think?
For me, I don't know if there's anyone right now, but I think there should be like a convention annually for like teachers from all across states in the country to just come and get like proper orientation, advancements with technology as well, and just keep staying updated. I think if that is done as a congress for teachers, I feel like it would enlighten them really well.
I actually want to look at another angle, because I realized that a lot of us graduated university and we are not using our degrees. So that means we are not studying what we like. I feel like schools are not capitalizing, or they're not like showing interest in what the pupils actually like. Honestly speaking, I feel like if schools actually look at your personal interest and not just force you to study things you don't like, then it will be better. The educational system will be better. Students will be willing to actually learn. They will put in effort. You don't have to force anybody to read because they love what they're doing. That's what I feel.
Welcome back, guys. It is still Moment Z, and we are just about to wrap up the show in a nutshell. But we took a quick poll online, so let's see what you had to say. Your thoughts on our educational system? Serious work. Hopeless.
At least not even one person said finances.
Is it one? That's 0%. 0%.
0 finance it is. Of course, no. Who would agree?
I like the fact that nobody thinks the educational system.
That's the thing. I feel like everybody already knows that the system is bad. So it's about how you go about reorienting yourself to how an educational system is meant to be. Do you get? So in a nutshell, for me, basically, there's a lot the government obviously has to do. There's a lot the teachers have to do, and there's a lot we as human beings, we as individuals, and not necessarily students, have to do. So now that we know, how are we going to empower the next person? How are we going to create opportunities for the next person that we claim to say that the government has not provided for them? So I just feel like we have a lot of work to do in Nigeria.
We have a lot of work to do, but then also I feel everybody now in some way has a smartphone. And quite frankly, all the things that I didn't know, I learned myself. And I think since we can't do much as it is, I think the best thing that we can do for one another is encourage each other to read, like find something online, send someone a link, like keep sharing knowledge and try and see if we can teach ourselves to a point where maybe we don't need the government anymore. I don't know if that's possible, but you know, that's a big dream.
That's a big dream, actually. In a nutshell, I would say that I agree with both of you, first of all, but I also feel that we as individuals and students, as you said, need to make that effort to learn and maybe surround yourself with people who have common interests, so it's not so hard and boring for you. In as much as you're trying to also better your life and learn, don't be afraid to share your knowledge with people.
That's so cool. If there's one thing I would like to know, or if there's one thing I'd like people to share on our social media pages, is how they've been able to be better than the system. So how they've been able to thrive in as much as the system is bad, and they never can tell who else they're going to inspire.
I want to say something silly.
You want to say cheating? Get away.
That's how they beat the system.
Anyway, all right, guys, it's been a fantastic show. And as Lumi said, we want to hear back from you guys, so hit us up on our social media platforms. But until next time, it's Momency, and don't forget that
everyone deserves a moment, so go get yours.